we got our base color locked in here with this character, but we might want to start describing the material a bit closer in terms of what it's made out of. So if we take a look at something like this, you can tell that the outward exterior of this is metal, but at the same time, you can see it doesn't really have metallic features. It doesn't have the color being inherent in the specular highlight. So for example, if we take a look at this right now, if I were to just crank up the metalness, that doesn't quite look right to capture this. And the reason why is this is painted, so it actually has a property closer to plastic. But if we take a look at this arm here, you can see a distinctive difference between this area, which we can tell is made out of metal, and this area, which we can tell is metal. This is painted metal, this is non-painted metal. So we want to make that distinction on our character by making an area metallic and an area not by making a metalness map. We can convert our base color map here into a metalness map very easily using some color overlays. So the first thing that you need to understand is how metalness maps work. So when we talk about a metalness map, white is generally going to be an area that is equal to a metal, and black is going to be an area that is equal to a non-metal. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take this region here, our painted region, and make this white. And we're going to want to take this region here, and we're going to want to make that black in order to give us the correct coloration. Now, what I'm going to do before I do anything is just come up here to File and do a Save As. So we're going to do a quick File, Save As. And we're going to save this out as Robot Metalness. And click Save. Hit OK. Okay, so now that we have this saved out, we don't have to worry about messing it up. What we're going to do is we're going to use layer styles to change your colors. If you come over here to your metal layers and you double click on the layers, it should either rename it, or if you click the icon and double click, it should bring up something called layer styles. You might have to double click several times. It took me about 8 clicks there. So what layer styles are a separate set of layers that we can put on top of a layer. They do a lot of really cool effects, but despite that, the main one that I use them for is this one here called color overlay. It lets you replace the color. So let's say you didn't make this a shape. Color overlay allows you to check that on and to replace it. And just like with our normal layers, we have blending modes, we have opacity, and we have our color here. Now, this just so happened to be perfect because it set it to white, and we're going to hit OK and OK, and that's going to make our dark regions white. Now, as you might have guessed, we're going to do the same thing with the base color. I'm going to double click here. We're going to come in here to a color overlay, and I'm going to go ahead and set this to black. And I don't really know what I want the eyes to be yet, so I'm going to turn off the eyes. But if I had to guess, we're going to make them kind of a glass, so they'll probably not be metal. And we can save. So we can do a File, Save. And what we can do now is we can hook up our metalness map. So I'm going to come into this material here. Notice the way I'm accessing that is just by clicking on the object, clicking in the attribute editor to gain access to it. And for this one, we are unfortunately going to have to pull up our hypershade. So just remember, it's that button right there. Not the end of the world. I just wish we had more screen space with it. And the reason why we need to pull this up is because we're going to have to make some special connections or change some special settings in the nodes themselves. Now, remember, you can click on your material and then use the input-output connection here to see the graph. It'll make our life a little bit easier. That way we're just seeing this. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the metalness. So where does this go? Well, as you might have guessed, it goes into the metalness, and it goes into the metalness dial. So I'm going to click that file there, hook up our file just like we did our texture, and just like we did before, place our metalness in here. But let me move this so you can see what this has done. You can see that our object's kind of just metal across the board, right? It's just even. Come into our robot metalness map, hit open, and you'll see this is our end result. Now, this is close, but it's not quite perfect. Why is that? Well, if we take a look at the connections here inside of our hypershade, let me make this full screen so we can talk about this a bit better. You might notice that our metalness, which is this file here, is using the out alpha adjustment. With the out alpha, it's not actually using the color. We need to tell it to use the color of some sort. So what we can do is we can select this file, and over here in the material viewer, we can check this alpha is luminance box, and that's going to take the luminance of the color map and use that as the alpha. The luminance, once again, is the grayscale values of the colored image. So if we go ahead and check that, you'll see that we can update this and we should have a slightly more accurate result. Now, it doesn't look more accurate here, but when we do our final render, it should be more accurate looking. What we end up with is our ball looking more plastic and our spheres looking more metallic. So now those have the metalness property and the ball has a somewhat plastic property. So that's going to be our base metalness map. Now we're going to come back into all our maps and kind of edit them later and tidy them up. You might want to open up your other map as well now. So since this is a separate save, we could open our color and we're going to start editing across these. But the first step is to kind of just get these rough block-ins. All right. So you'll see I still have my robot color and now those correlate. Okay. So just reviewing with metalness, where you want there to be a metal, you paint white. Where you want there to be a non-metal, you paint black. And if you have something in between, you can actually paint a gray color to vary the amount in between. But for this one, let's just go pure black, pure white. So as a challenge, what I want you to do is go ahead and paint your base metalness map to indicate which areas of your robot are going to be metal and which areas are going to be something else like painted metal or plastic. So go ahead and give that a try, and we'll go ahead and explore roughness next.